right, 199 for the Rajasthan Royals, batting first in Guwahati after David Warner and the Delhi Capitals put them in. A curious game of three separate phases. One with Jaiswal and Butler, where they managed to put on 98 in 8.5 overs. Then it suddenly just to slow down, and eventually they finished with 70 of the last 5 to give themselves 199. It's still a good score, 200 takes chasing, no matter what the conditions, but will it be enough? Well, let's find out from that innings on ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. Shaun, Tait and Matt Roller are with me. Let me first go to Tom Moody, who was just too short of his prediction of 2 or 1. But in fairness, Tom, they should have got closer to that 230 that I call with the way they started. What do you make of 199?
Oh, dear. Yeah, look, 230 I think was a bit ambitious. But, yeah, with the start they had, it was an extraordinary start. Jaiswal in particular, I thought, was just spectacular. Isn't he going to be a eye-catching player to enjoy over the next 10 years in Indian cricket? But yeah, look, quite often when you do get out of the blocks like that, there is a phase in the game that it does dry up. It's very rare you have the full 20 overs where it's in fifth gear. So credit to Delhi, the way they managed to claw it back, a little bit. But I was a little bit sort of confused to the batting order again, and we do. Well, I'm pointing the finger at Hetmeyer. Why isn't he coming in, fractionally earlier to be able to take advantage of his extraordinary power hitting?
Yeah, that is going to be the debate, and we can get straight into it. Tom Moody talks about not every over of period of play in a 20-over game can go that way, but if we look back at how they slowed down, Teddy, they were 98 in the 9th over. They then had 7 overs where they've conceded 41, Delhi Capitals, or they scored 41, the Rajasthan Royals, including a 5-over phase where they got 16. Yeah. That's not the slowdown you want, even if you are changing gears.
Well, I mean, Moods is right. You can't have it all your way for the full 20. But if there's ever a wicket where you sort of can get close to that, I think this was it here in Guwahati. So I think that conversation with Parag and Hetmeyer, I think that it wasn't a wicket where you needed to noodle for 5 or 6 overs. I don't think it wasn't there. So if there was ever a time where you could jostle Hetmeyer up the order, this was the game, I think. And then obviously Parag getting out as well was a big moment of the game, I felt, where Delhi just brought it back.
Yeah. We spoke about the timing of Hetmeyer's entry, didn't we? And when he's most successful, and they would have had that chat when Samson fell just an over or two after Jaiswal. Is the 10th over mark too soon? And then, as it obviously turns out, he then comes into the 14th over, which almost seems too late.
Yeah, I think especially when you see sort of that level of destruction right at the end, you constantly have that question with finishers, don't you? You see them be so explosive right at the end. You think, could they have had that little bit more time? I think we've asked that over the years with people like Andre Russell, Karen Pollard, and it sort of feels like Hetmeyer's almost a slightly different player to those guys in that he's not just a specialist finisher. He does have those. We've seen him bat number 3 in ODIs and T20Is for West Indies when he played more regularly for them. Why shouldn't he go in the 10th over? And I think, particularly when you talk about Parag, I think this was his 50th game in the IPL. That's a lot of investment from Rajasthan over a long period of time, and he's, I think, averaging 16 and striking in the mid-120s in that time. So you'd want, after that many games, that many opportunities, someone to have had a little bit more return on investment.
Yeah, 100%. And not to mention, he was given a completely different role last time, Tom, where they were sending everyone above him, and they said, now this guy's going to be finishing for us. He's a 3 or 4 ball specialist or 10 ball specialist. So it's one thing that he's batting at 4 in the absence of Devdutt Padikkal. But the other thing is, if he was batting at 4 and Hetmeyer's in the shed still, is that 11 ball innings what you would have asked him to do? Wouldn't you have wanted him to then say, go swinging, and then if you sky one up first up, that's all right? That 7 of 11 did seem to derail their innings.
Yeah, look, I don't think he intended to, take the time he did take. I think at the end of the day, I think what we're recognising is the vast difference in quality between Parag and Hetmeyer. You've got one player is, an established international power hitter who does it day in, day out, and you've got another who is still learning the art of playing the game in all formats. It's not like Parag is, absolutely braining it in every format of the game. So I can understand giving a young player an opportunity and and being patient with them, but it should never be at the at the cost of ultimately getting a score that you should be getting, or at the cost of potentially the outcome of a game.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I think we're all in agreement here. Everyone wanted to see Hetmeyer come into the fall of Samson's wicket. It didn't happen. They might get away with it. They still end up getting 199. And let's extend that conversation. Tom Moody talks about for Yashasvi Jaiswal. We'll talk about Butler in a moment, but it's nothing that we've not seen before from Jos Buttler. So Jaiswal, who follows off an excellent start to this year's IPL, just keeps it going, 60 of 31. And Tait, fair to say, outscoring Jos Buttler at a time. He was bossing the game.
He was. He started so well, and especially against the spin as well. But I think you talk about putting time into players, a franchise putting time into players. He's one it's working out pretty well. Rajasthan early on, after some domestic performances, you mentioned before, he got a 200, and they got him in and they stuck with him. I think his IPL career, he was getting bounced out a lot, which he actually did today as well. But he had 60 runs on the board. So, but yeah, I agree with Moody. He looks like a great guy to watch over the future.
Yeah, not a lot of batters that say, Josh, you relax, I'll go hard and you can take your time.
Well, I think that was actually the most impressive thing about his innings today. It was quite often with Jaiswal, we've seen him go really hard in the power play and then get a little bit bunged up in that sort of post-power play phase when a lot of teams have a lull. Whereas today he just kept on going really hard. And while you could see he was pretty annoyed at himself when he got out, the fact that he's put on 60 off 30 and really laid the foundation for an innings that could have been even bigger than the 199 they posted. Yeah,
Tom, anything that we haven't said already in his opening game, 54 of 37 against Sunrisers and now another half century. But what's made him take the scale up from the more you're seeing him bat this season?
I think what I like about him is he's playing proper cricketing shots. He's extending through some of them over the top, but he's a pretty complete player through the offside and the leg side. He has improved, his strength, a potential weakness with the short ball, but there's obviously some room for further improvement there, because we've seen him still get out a couple of times being rushed, particularly with that short ball that's in line with the body. So you can guarantee that will be an area that a few teams will mark their card going forward into this IPL.
Yeah, he did fall eventually to that short ball, but like we said, he's gotten better. Teddy was happy to see that, and it was part of a good spell by Mukesh Kumar, who was a bit under pressure. David Miller took him down in the last game. Teddy, how did Delhi bowl for you? Mukesh, for starters, did they bowl all right?
I think from the start they had. They're under the pump straight away with that good opening partnership. But they did bring it back well. And I think we were talking about back screen that it was one of those wickets, I think, where it was just the simple stuff with the pace bowls, especially through those middle overs as well. I think it's just the top of the stumps. Giving the stumps away on a wicket like this is a big no-no. And the use of the short ball, good short ball, which they probably could have done a little bit more as well. And even with the spinners, I think as soon as you leave the stumps on a great wicket like this, and let's be honest, sometimes there is a bit of hope there. When Rajasthan get off to a great start, I think for bowlers, keeping the ball in those areas on the top of the pegs with the odd bouncer, and obviously at the death you simplify with the Yorker, and hope they get out in some way. There's only so much you can really.
Elaborate on that. You don't give the stumps away on a flat surface. What do you mean by that?
Basically, I think it's just one of those back to disciplines. Especially when you're under the pump after the first 5 or 6 overs. Keeping the cool head and just hitting your areas, basically. When you try and get too fancy and try too hard to push for a wicket, you end up a bit all over the shop. And I think Delhi did that well. They just stuck to their guns. Yeah, sure, they missed a few, but they also hit a few good Yorkers as well. So, yeah, all in all, I think, conservatively maybe say that they were 15 short type thing. So I think Delhi are quite happy with that.
Yeah, Tom, a quick assessment of Delhi's bowling, the way they pulled it back, credit to them?
Yeah, just to expand on what Tait was touching on, I just felt where they got really hurt was when they offered any sort of, but once they stayed sort of very much on that line on top of the stumps, it seemed to be a little bit harder to sort of work their way around scoring freely. And again, I don't think they use the bouncer anywhere near as much as they should do. The bouncer is a good attacking option. And when you are going for boundaries and it's all going against you, the one thing you must not take out of your mind is to be taking wickets, because that is the number one way you're going to be able to slow the pace of the game down, is by taking wickets. So, that's something I'm sure they'll look into when they review this game. But I agree, they potentially are, 10, maybe 15 short of what they could have been, but Delhi will have to bat well.
All right, let's quickly get a final prediction. Prithvi Shaw has been impacted in. We'll talk about Jos Buttler at the end of the game, perhaps. It could be a match-winning innings, a defining innings, after he stood tall when that innings sort of lost momentum and pace. But let's see if they've got the bowling. They don't quite have the express pace like Norgay. He went for a few today, Tait, but with Holder, Bolt, I'm guessing one seamer will also be impacted in, and you've got Chahal and Ashwin.
Yeah.
Do you see Rajasthan defending this?
With those 4 guys, it's great experience. And it's good. It's cliche, but I think early wickets, you get these 2 guys out at the top 3 out relatively quickly. It's a different game, but if these 2 get away, if David goes back to his IPL, David Warner, and clubs a few at the top, it's going to be difficult, I think, for Rajasthan, yeah.
Yeah, you've had Delhi to chase this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt?
I think Rajasthan will defend. I think Delhi, there's enough uncertainty as to who's coming in where. I think there's not a lot of confidence by the seams of things from the outside. I reckon Rajasthan by 20 or so.
By 20 or so. Tom?
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I think Rajasthan's got this one. I just think with the experience of Chahal and Ashwin, as 2 very contrasting spinners, along with their experience in their pace attack, is enough to be, to feel comfortable that they should win.
All right, fair enough. Matt, you're going to be off to the Wankhede. Enjoy that. Let's get your thoughts on that tomorrow, on what the experience was like. Tait, more from you at the end of the game. Tom, you as well. Let's pick up the chat on ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. Big 20 overs for Delhi. If they chase this down, it might just inject some belief in their season. Otherwise, they'll be the first team to lose 3 out of 3. And we also build up to Mumbai against Chennai at 7 o'clock, regardless of how long this game takes. So join us for analysis on ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout, and download the mobile app while you're at it. If you haven't already, fastest live scores and all the updates from the IPL and from around the world of cricket from the App Store or the Play Store. Just get yourself the ESPN Cricket for mobile app. We'll see you at 7 o'clock.